Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we are taking a look at easily the best all-around build in Destiny 2 right now. One that isn't totally intentional, and given what it can do, is a borderline cheating. Like, luckily for us, Bungie is incredibly lax about exploits, but in any other game on the market, this would definitely get you a fat ban. I mean, look at this health bar. And what's incredible is that the insane damage that you're seeing here proliferates to non-raid bosses too, making this unequivocally the best build in the game right now. So yeah, you may have heard about void chunking, and today's video is going to turn that into a build and to break it down for you. But before we do dive deeper into this build, I wanted to say thank you guys for the recent support on the channel. And I wanted to invite you guys to come say hi in my Discord server link down below, or come by my Twitch streams and say hi there. Also, if you like informative and entertaining Destiny 2 content, then do subscribe. I'm just starting the road to 50K as my next milestone, and I hope I can have you along for the ride. Also, for some stuff regarding today's video, the one you're currently watching, there is a dim link down in the description. That way you can easily grab this build. And there are also timestamps down there and on the play bar for your viewing convenience if you want to just find armor mods or an example of something. All right, so now diving into the build, what is our first stop? Well, there are a lot of little things that stack on top of each other to give us the insane boss damage that you saw a minute ago. To begin though, we need to take a look at a specific subclass aspect. This one being the Chaos Accelerant aspect. This one allows us to hold down our grenade ability to charge it. And these charged variants of our grenades will get a different benefit depending on which grenade is charged. In this build, we will be focusing on the charged versions of the magnetic grenade, spike grenade, void wall grenade, and suppressor grenade, with all of these turning into a short-ranged blast. Also, this aspect gives us one additional charge of whatever grenade we have equipped. So taking a look at our aspects of functionality in game, to show it off, we can throw our suppressor grenade and see that nothing special happens other than being able to throw a second one thanks to our extra grenade charge. Also, for comparison reasons, one grenade here deals 14,040 damage. But to see the real benefit of Chaos Accelerant, we can hold our grenade button to start charging a handheld supernova, which when we release, we will spawn these 9 projectiles that go forward a short bit and then explode. Think of it like a void grenade shotgun. And if we get real close and personal, if we land every projectile, this handheld supernova will deal 4,869 damage, which is a 238% increase over our base grenade. Also, this does make our targets volatile for a little bit more damage there. Now, our grenades aren't going to nuke yet like the clip you saw in the intro. However, why don't we make it so? Well, in order to do that, we will now look at the second piece of this build, our exotic arms, Controverse Hold. This exotic reads, resist incoming damage while charging your void grenade with Chaos Accelerant. Charged void grenades return grenade energy on a hit and apply weaken. Now, honestly, it doesn't sound like it really increases our damage. However, it definitely does, and you'll see. First, we have the written portions of this exotic, and the first one up is the damage resist while charging our grenades, which is actually really nice, and we can see it as a buff when we start to charge. This kind of allows us to close the gap or remain close to whatever we are annihilating. Now, next up is the grenade regen, and this will cause our grenade to regen about 50% of it when simply dealing damage with it. That means we can easily throw 3 handheld supernovas back to back. And then while here, you also notice that Carl is weakened, giving us the yellow numbers, even without the subclass fragment that normally causes our grenades to do that. Now, aside from that weaken, which is 15% extra damage, how does Controverse Hold up our lethality? Well, to be honest, your guess is as good as mine, but it simply begins to warp the game logic around it. As a starter, to show this off, I'm going to throw my Nova Bomb, a super. This explodes and does like 9,200 total damage once all is said and done. But what I want us to focus on instead of the number is the physical health bar itself. One Nova Bomb worth of damage moves this a very small amount. Reminder, Carl here is like a raid boss when it comes to his HP. But now, with handheld supernova plus Controverse Holds, let's just throw 2 of them at the boss, getting nice and close. And you know, if we look at the board, we only deal like 10,000 damage, but look at the health bar. It is so much more than what the numbers are telling us. Someone is lying, but ultimately what matters is that when that health bar is gone, when it's empty, the boss is dead, regardless of how much quote unquote real damage we did to them. Also, there are some tips here to get that void chunk to happen. You need to be point blank and ideally looking at their feet. If you're not rubbing on them, then you're just gonna do plain old grenade damage with no exploitation happening. But on that note, there are even more ways to increase our chunk sizes, which takes us to our subclass. Here we begin with our super choice. For max boss damage, Cataclysm Nova is best, but we can often find ourselves dealing a lot of self damage, so Nova Bomb Vortex can be a safer option. For our class ability, Empowering Rift is a way to give ourselves constant grenade regen when we're standing in it. Popping this during boss phases can help you get more grenades out if your team isn't helping you or if you're solo. Our melee is forced to be Pocket Singularity, which is alright, I guess, but we can leverage it for more grenades with our armor mods, which we'll talk about in a moment. Then our grenade should be Magnetic Grenade for the shortest possible cooldown. You can use any of the grenades mentioned by the aspect, but again, cooldown does matter here. As for our aspect, we already know that we have Chaos Accelerant, but for the second one, you also likely already know that we are going to be on Feed the Void. This aspect gives us an enhanced Devour on any ability kill, and showing this off in game in case some of you out there don't know about it, we get it to proc on an ability kill like our handheld Supernova, then any kill afterwards refreshes Devour's timer, heals us a massive amount, and regens a big chunk of our grenade energy. When ad clearing with this build, you truly do have infinite grenades. And moving on from aspects, we have Fragments, and this is where the next most important grenade modifier lies. Here, we want to have Echo of Undermining equipped. Now, that's odd, right? Controverse Holds already weakens, and Echo of Undermining also causes our void grenades to weaken. Well, again, we're here to cheat, and having this fragment equipped with Controverse Holds just confuses the game, I guess, because here we are back in the firing range. Our chunks become more consistent and larger. And that's kind of all you need to have your grenades become the best boss damage kind of ever. There are some advanced strategies though to enable optimal boss deletion, like what you're seeing now, but I'll cover that in the gameplay loop section. Again, timestamps down below. Before that, let's look at the rest of this build so you can take this into any activity you want. To finish the fragments, we run Echo of Expulsion, so our supernova kills cause explosions themselves, which is great for ad clear. Then we use Echo of Harvest, so defeating weakened enemies gives us an Orb of Power and a Void Breach, which will give us a bit of class energy when picked up. And lastly, we use Echo of Reprisal, which will give us chunks of our super when getting close range kills. Echoing out our subclass, what weapons can we use to make this a true build? Well, the one I found myself using the most was the LARP Saber. I mean, the Practical Blade. This sword gives us damage resist, does good damage, and has infinite ammo. It is an awesome addition to this build. So, taking a look at how we built ours, for our Practical Blade form, we are using Offensive for more damage against bosses. For our blade focus, we use Forceful Blade for more damage. Then we use the Impact Core so that any melee damage we do applies Weaken. And then the biggest buff is that for our Catalyst, we use Hyperblade. This makes us amplified when we block damage and gives us an eager edge swing. But amplified is the focus here, as that makes enemies simply less accurate against us and also gives us 15% damage resist. Something this build does lack when you're not charging a grenade. This sword is fantastic and allows us to close the gap on enemies and relatives safely so that we can unleash our Cheater Blast. Also, we can use our grenade with the sword out, leaving no friction at all. As for the other weapons we can run with this build, Sciaturna is fantastic, or you can use a rocket sidearm like Return to Memory, and then heavy can be whatever, just do not use Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon actually disables the exploit for some reason, and as you're seeing here, the chunks just don't happen. Now on from our weapons, we got armor. To begin with our stats, you want 200 grenade, if you can manage. The actual damage number that our grenade does is kinda inconsequential, but apparently having a higher stat causes the chunks to be larger. After that, running 100 super is nice to be able to spam it in neutral, and then you'd want either class or weapons as your final stat. Class stat if you want to spam rifts, weapons if you want to deal more weapon damage to low rank enemies. And then for the armor mods, on the helmet I decided to run triple ashes to assets, so each grenade kill we get is giving us a chunk of our super. In the arms we have triple firepower, so every grenade kill is also spawning an orb of power. Then we have our chest piece, which gets an ammo generation mod and some resists. Our legs get an innervation to get a bit of grenade energy on orb pickup, and then an absolution to get a bit of everything on orb pickup, but it's pretty much just to double stack into grenade regen. And then we get a scav for our non-sword special weapon. Then our class item has my favorite combo of special finisher for ammo on demand, powerful attraction to pick up orbs with our rift, and a proximity ward to do finishers in safety. Also, if you do like to loadout swap, then this is the mod layout for what a damage loadout would look like. We are pretty much just upping our super stat and causing our melee to regen our grenade on melee damage. There will be 2 dim links down below, one for running, one for damage, if you're interested in this. Also, as a last little thing here as we're talking about armor, the most interesting armor set bonus that I think would go with this build is from the new Sage Protector set coming from the Equilibrium dungeon. This allows our sword to regen class ability and grenade energy. But now, before we talk how to use this build effectively, we gotta cover the artifact. The only real purpose of these are actually to buff up our lightsaber, nothing really with the grenade, which kind of means this build is future-proofed. So the first major mod that we have is Kinetic Synthesis. This effectively gives our saber infinite ammo, simply for just dealing damage. The next big one is Combination Argent Blade, which can be used to give our sword some more damage output. Then we can run Singularity Blade, which allows our sword to weaken if we're not attacking the same target with our grenades. And then lastly, we can use Sword Storm combo for more passive damage, or even Void Infestation to spread our weaken around. But ultimately, this artifact does not matter for this build. Now, for the gameplay loop, first starting with how to run and gun using this build. To begin, you can usually just jump into a group of adds and let a handheld supernova fly to get the ball rolling. You'll get Devour and begin regening the grenade you just used. You can then literally just spam handheld supernova at everything. The only time the directive changes is when something is too far away. When that's the case, you can use your weapons or toss your saber or use a super because you can spam those. The next thing to think about is when you come across a boss or mini boss, a champion, I recommend first getting close with your saber, guarding to get amplified, and usually baiting out some kind of slam attack. Once you've done that and you're close enough to kiss them, charge that nuclear bomb. Look at their feet, or at least directly at their center of mass, and let it go. If you get a chunk, most bosses will take a massive hit, and anything under them will just disintegrate. You can then block the next attack, or just do another charge grenade. If you do ever run out of grenades in neutral or against a boss, remember that Empowering Rift will regen that, and orbs do the same. And yeah, that's really it for running and gunning with this build, but it does play a bit different in a raid or dungeon setting. So now quickly covering a raid gameplay loop. Up until a boss, it is exactly the same, but when dealing a boss damage, you're also gonna do the usual. Look at their feet or center of mass and charge those grenades. When you run out Empowering Rift and use your melee with Impact Induction this time, which will get you more grenade energy. But the unequivocal best way to deal boss damage, and what you're seeing on repeat here, is using a Song of Flame from a teammate. Rather than a Well of Radiance, a song will constantly regenerate your grenade ability, allowing you to spam handheld supernovas like it's a primary weapon. And that is what people are using to delete bosses. Alone, you might not have enough to throw to kill a boss, but in a team, 2 Warlocks doing this and 1 doing Song of Flame gives you genuinely a game-breaking amount of damage. Just remember, don't use Tractor, and if you get knocked back, use your saber to close the gap. And that's it. This is the most broken thing in Destiny in a long time, and I hope you enjoyed. Remember, there are dim links down below, and if you liked this video, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. Joining the Discord would be even more kind. But if you want to support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below, grape soda. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.